Hi everybody and welcome to the middle of the week. It's Wednesday's TNT as we whip around some of the main stories from around Thailand. Now the election news is still big news, but we do have such a long process to sort of wade through. I'm not going to be doing 10 articles about it at the start of each program from now on. We'll get to the main stories and the latest in the election story a little bit later on in the program. But we're going to start off with another story. And kudos to the Bangkok Post for this story, which has been taken from an interview from a writer with the Nikkei Asia. And the Bangkok Post, I have to say, during the election gave a very lackluster performance during both before the election and then during the election and after. I think their coverage has been, well, basically abysmal. But kudos to them for this article. It's titled "Fighting Thailand's Scamdemic." In an interview with the Bangkok Post, Police General Surachat Hakpan, a Deputy National Police Chief, said a police probe revealed a significant threat from organised crime activities involving Chinese gangs. Many of these gangs, however, are preying on Thais from outside the country. In 2021, scam calls in Thailand increased by 270%. I wonder how much they increased by last year. I'm sure it would have been over 100%. Now, a lot of you do get these scam calls. I have Thai friends who complain about getting numerous of these scam calls every single day. And I think slowly Thai people are starting to sort of tweak to what's going on here. We did a few stories last year about these scam call centres, which are really just on the borders of Thailand. But this article might sort of indicate how sophisticated they are. Let's go on a bit further. And police think 50,000 complaints they receive represent less than half the number of people actually scammed. The number of scammers at work in our region is now believed to be at least tens of thousands. Many, if not most of the scammers, however, are not inside the kingdom. Instead, they're operating in high-tech scam centres in lawless areas and supposed special economic zones just across the border in Cambodia, Laos and Myanmar, from where they tap into the country's, as in Thailand's, outstanding telecommunications infrastructure to find their customers. And we've spoken many times about how good Thailand's telecommunications infrastructure is. It's very fast, it's very cheap, it's very available. And there's a photo there looking from Thailand across the river in the Tak region across to Myanmar. And that is a whole dormitory suburb that's been set up to house people who are going to be calling people in Thailand to scam them. And they're using these towers in the foreground, which are in Thailand, and they're just tapping into Thailand's telecommunications infrastructure. Let's go on with the story. And the industrial scale scamming and how it was supercharged by the COVID-19 pandemic was exposed in Dominic Falder's Scamdemic, an article in Nikkei Asia, which has gone on to win 3 international journalism awards. I'd urge you to have a read of that article. And just barging through this article, the scammers have often been scammed themselves. People see these advertisements on social media that promise jobs that are relatively high paying. They go through an agent who takes them to the border, Myanmar, Laos, and mostly still in Cambodia, and they're smuggled across. They lose their passports, so they get stuck. They're basically defenceless. By numerous accounts, a mammoth scam centre sprung up in the Myanmar border town of, I'm not even going to attempt that, a partnership between expat Chinese investors and the Karen Border Guard Force working under the Myanmar military. You get the idea. And people are called and told they're suspected of being involved in drug smuggling and about to be arrested. Then they're asked if they'd like to speak to the police officer in charge of their case, and of course they say yes please, and a policeman comes to the screen. He's got a copy of your ID cards, reads out the number, looks at you and compares you to the picture. And behind the policeman on screen, the noise and bustle of a police station is in full swing, but the station is actually a film set built in a casino just across the Thai border in Cambodia. The officer in this particular scam did in fact serve with the Royal Thai Police, but he's gone rogue. And just the next paragraph saying they're former policemen, so they know the game. They have the uniforms, the jargon, everything. So, well, there's such a cautionary tale in that, and there's a link in the description to that story, and I'd also urge you to read the original story from Nikkei Asia. If you do get any of these scam calls, just hang up. Don't even engage with them. Just hang up, move on. And we just need to educate people more about how these centres are working, their modus operandi, publish more articles like this, and try and make them so they're just not worthwhile going to all the trouble. But while there are silly people out there who fall for these scam centres will continue to proliferate. Wednesday's TNT program. Thanks for watching, and if you get an opportunity to subscribe, I'd be very grateful. I really appreciate your support. Now, the CAAT, the Civil Aviation Authority of Thailand, they're bidding to lower carbon emissions, local airlines required to report emissions and fuel consumption. You sort of wonder when you're talking about things like carbon emissions and aviation exactly how a local civil aviation authority can contribute to that. Well, they've got a few ideas. The Civil Aviation Authority of Thailand's joined hands with the International Civil Aviation Organisation as they strive for lower carbon emissions from air travel. The aim is to reach net zero emissions by 2020, says the CAAT director. So since last year, the Civil Aviation Authority of Thailand and international partners have developed a policy tool designed to achieve environmental goals at a lower cost and in a more flexible manner. New aircraft technologies like lighter frames, higher engine performance, and operational improvements can help achieve the goal. Well, again, it's really up to the aircraft manufacturers to come up with the technology that's going to have less fuel burn. Really, all the civil aviation authorities can do is encourage airlines to buy newer, more efficient aircraft. Under the policy, the Civil Aviation Authority requires Thai Airways, Thai Smile, Nok Air, Thai Air Asia, Thai Air Asia X, Thai Vietjet, Thai Lion Air and K-Mile Air to report their CO2 emissions, including amounts of fuel use. One of those I have never heard of, K-Mile Air. Let's just quickly see who they are. K-Mile Air is a Thai-registered express cargo airline based at Suvarnabhumi Airport, and it looks like they've got 5 aircraft. I'm not exactly sure what aircraft they have, but along with everybody else, the Civil Aviation Authority is going to say, get some new, fuel-efficient planes. And one finding shows that an aircraft burns more fuel and emits more greenhouse gas while taking off and landing. So during taxiing from a gate to a runway, an aircraft should be on one engine instead of 2. Now, my very basic physics is telling me that if you've got 2 engines operating, you're taxiing the aircraft and it's going at, say, 10 kilometres an hour. If you turn one of those engines off, the other engine's going to have to go at twice the speed to keep that aircraft still moving at 10 kilometres an hour, give or take. I don't think there's any fuel saving at all, is there, by turning one engine off? Come on, all you physics experts, tell me that I'm wrong. And while landing, a captain will apply a technique of steadily descending instead of the old technique of levelling, which burns lots of fuel, adding that the new method can reduce fuel use by 40%. So I think that most airlines do that already here in Thailand. Heavens knows I've done so much flying over the past couple of years. Usually from cruising altitude down to the touchdown takes about 25 minutes, which means that they're not doing much cruising altitude at all. In a flight, say, from Phuket to Bangkok, they get up to the cruising altitude, spend about 15 minutes there, and then the rest is spent descending. So I think they've already got that in mind. And finally there, the Civil Aviation Chief says carbon emission reductions in aviation may be expensive, but it will not affect airfares. I've got a funny feeling it will. Well, that's air travel. If you are doing something in the way of boat travel, particularly if you want to head off in a boat to an island off Phuket, I can warmly recommend 5 Star Marine. and they've got boats heading out. They've got about 15 boats heading out to all the islands off Phuket, and they've got a website, 5starmarinephuket.com, and as usual there is a link in the description in this video if you'd like to book with them. And yes, I'm still waiting for that link that I can put in the description, which you'll be able to click on to get a discount with 5 Star Marine. You support them, you'll end up supporting me as well. You're watching TNT. Well, it's time to cover the latest in the election that was held over the weekend. We start with an article in Nikkei Asia. Again, I'll put a link to this in the description. It's an opinion piece. I've just picked out a few sentences and paragraphs that I think might be interesting to you. Thai public's rejection of rule by generals must be respected, says the opinion piece. Thai voters have just given their support to the wrong politicians once again in the eyes of the country's establishment. But this election was not dominated by Pheu Thai, the party of former Premier Thaksin Shinawatra, as had been expected. The remarkable first place finish instead of the new Move Forward party, which uses orange as its signature colour, was a sensational outcome that few had predicted. Well, I certainly got that prediction wrong, although I predicted the two parties would pull together about 300 seats. I got that right, but I certainly didn't think that the majority would be Move Forward. The next paragraph says, Move Forward's orange rush reflects disenchantment with the clique of retired generals that has run Thailand since seizing power in a May 2014 coup. In Thailand, though, elections are about more than numbers. Every previous vote over the past 20 years has also produced the wrong result, a victory for forces aligned with Thaksin. That's Thaksin Shinawatra, a polarising telecommunications tycoon and former police officer, now living in exile in Dubai. In a variety of ways, all those results were subsequently undermined by the establishment. And then this paragraph about Prayut Chan-o-cha, the fact that a premier who had already served almost 9 years in office felt obliged to respond directly to the upstart party illustrated the paranoia felt by older Thais who are baffled by the values of a generation that they believe lack respect for traditional institutions. Meanwhile, the elite will work overtime to block a Move Forward Pheu Thai government, probably pushing for a cross-party alliance that would include the latter, Pheu Thai, in a coalition with a range of conservative parties. Alternatively, they may try to propose a minority government headed by either Prayut or Prawit, and as we pointed out yesterday, that would just be an impossible government. It couldn't work. It would lose its very first vote of confidence, let alone anything else. And any such moves will horrify the many millions of voters who have just voted to oust the generals. The real struggle for post-election power has only just begun. This time, the choice of Thai voters deserve to be respected rather than sabotaged. And that story from Nikkei Asia, an opinion piece, there's a link in the description in this video if you'd like to have a read. And Thai PBS World says Phumjai Thai and Democrat parties urged to support Pita for Prime Minister. And one of the Pheu Thai party's prime ministerial candidates is urging the Phumjai Thai and Democrat parties to vote for Move Forward Party Pita as Thailand's 30th Prime Minister in Parliament, in line with the aspiration and voices of the people. So the theory behind that is that Pheu Thai and Move Forward already have 310 votes, 310 MPs in the lower house. With Phumjai Thai, they got 70 MPs over the line over the weekend. They'd have 380 MPs voting for them with a joint sitting of both houses, and it would nullify the effect of the senators' vote. But they'd have to get the side of Phumjai Thai first. And further down there, the party's growth, Sreta is referring to the Move Forward party, is a clear sign that its ideology matches the aspiration of the people who want to see change in Thai society, as you referred to previous statements by both the Phumjai Thai and Democrat parties that they disagree with the provision in the constitution which involves senators in the election of the country's prime minister. Nothing like dragging out old quotes to put them in a difficult position. The article goes on, he also said the two parties and their MPs need not wait for the senators, so Thailand can have a government leader who's ready to drive the country forward bring about change and happiness for the people. So in some coffee shop around Bangkok, there would be the sight of Pita, Patongtan, Sreta, and probably Anaton Shahvidakun having a bit of a latte and discussing their futures. The next article, also from Thai PBS World, says Thai senators come under pressure over the PM vote. The military-appointed senators have been coming under pressure from civil society groups after some vowed not to vote for Pita, the leader of the Move Forward party, to become the next PM of Thailand. The senators in question said their stance against Pita is because of his anti-establishment position declared publicly before the election. And as I mentioned just before, Pita's in the process of forming a coalition government with Per Thai and some smaller parties, which could amass a voting bloc of 310 in Parliament. Pita needs 376 members of a joint sitting to vote for him to become the Prime Minister, meaning that he would need 66 military-appointed senators to vote for him. Well, that's the point, that all the senators may not vote en bloc. They may not all vote for the Conservatives. Some may say, well, the people have voted and we'll support them. So there's no guarantee that all the senators will vote one way. The Rural Doctor Society, a non-government organisation, issued a statement on Monday calling for MPs and senators to respect the voters' choice. It said the result of the election clearly reflects Thai people's intentions to change the country, and it was an important sign of democratic process. To our next article now from nationthailand.com, and 6 senators, including 5 top brass and the police chief, will not vote for the new PM, but not for the reason you think. The 5 military top brass and the national police chief who are in the Senate have said they will not vote for the next PM. So those gentlemen are all appointed automatically to the Senate under the 2017 Constitution. There's a list of who they are. There's the Permanent Secretary for the Defence Ministry, the Supreme Commander-in-Chief, the Army Chief, Navy Chief, Air Force Chief, and that's the 5 top military officers, and there's also the National Police Chief. And the source said the top brass and police chief have given up their right to vote on political issues because they want to maintain their neutrality. Well, I think that's the correct thing for the people in those positions to do. The 6 had earlier announced they would not take their salaries as senators and refrain from voting on other issues in Parliament, which makes you wonder why they're there in the first place, but that's the 2017 Constitution. And there's the other side effect of last weekend's election, and Forbes.com covers this. Thailand's election result may reverse cannabis policy. The winners of the election may reverse the recent policy that made Thailand the first Asian country to decriminalise recreational cannabis, something we've been covering for months. People don't seem to believe me, but I've just been quoting what these parties have been saying. Thai voters have delivered a surprising and stunning verdict in favour of an opposition party that advocates for significant institutional reforms. However, the winning parties may reverse the current cannabis policy, which has resulted in an unregulated market and faced criticism from many parts of Thai society. The election results may not be good news for Thai cannabis enthusiasts and pro-legalisation activists. After becoming the first Southeast Asian country to legalise medical cannabis in 2018, Thailand decriminalised recreational cannabis last year by allowing to grow cannabis plants at home for personal use. But since decriminalisation took effect, the sale of cannabis products has spread across the country, becoming a dividing political issue as those opposed to the policy are worried about the negative impact of recreational cannabis use. It's worth noting that the sale of recreational cannabis remains theoretically illegal, although enforcement is inconsistent, if not invisible. Cannabis shops and stalls can be found on nearly every street corner in major towns and cities across Thailand, but both Move Forward Party and Per Thai Party have criticised the side effects of the cannabis reform during their political campaigns, and now they may implement regulations to limit the sale of cannabis for recreational use. And I'm sure as they're sipping their lattes at that coffee shop somewhere in Bangkok, the 2 winning parties and Anaton Shahvidakun from Pumjai Thai we'll be discussing that particular matter. Now, as a counterpoint to that particular story, this is a regional story from coconuts.co. Yet another man to be executed this week in Singapore for cannabis trafficking. And just 3 weeks after the 46-year-old Singaporean Tengah Jaru was hanged for the crime of conspiracy to traffic marijuana, not even trafficking, just conspiracy, anti-death penalty activists in Singapore have confirmed the government is set to execute another man tomorrow, well, that's today, for the same crime. And the man's family's asked for privacy, so no personal details like his name or photo were revealed in the post. The man's been imprisoned for 7 years after being convicted of trafficking 1.5 kilograms of cannabis, and trafficking 500 grams of cannabis or more carries the mandatory death penalty under Singapore's harsh drug laws. So just a quick note to all the commenters over the past 8 months that have truly got stuck into me about reading out stories that don't necessarily fit your pro-cannabis narrative. I would like to direct your attention to the Singapore government. I think they deserve your enthusiasm rather than getting stuck into me for just reading out stories. And with that, I'd like to thank you for watching. I'd like to thank 5-Star Marine for supporting the program. And I've had so much fun, I think I'll do it again tomorrow. Thanks for watching.